Can Trump bring peace to Europe? Does Europe actually want peace? Will Putin keep escalating tensions? This is Interference, and we're here to talk about the Ukraine war from the Eastern Europe point of view. Hi there, welcome back. This is the Brussels Signal Studio, and I'm here with Michal Karnowski, who is a journalist based in Poland, and we're here to look at the Ukraine war from a slightly different perspective. Obviously, here in Brussels, everyone has their opinion, but over in the East, it's a bit different. Hi there, Michal.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming along. Now, you are the man on the spot. I know that you've actually just visited the Ukrainian border. I want to get some kind of feel as to how you guys see the latest developments. Is Trump the big hope or not?
What is typical of this European elites, and Poland is not an exception. They treat Trump's proposals, offers, attempts, efforts as something which is a threat to them, not a chance, not a hope. But coming back to this border, we may say three things. At first, people are really scared that the war expands. Secondly, the tourism, which is a main part of the local economy, is collapsing. People are very, very disappointed by how long this war lasts, and the fact that now, due to this drones war and everything what is happening, people are from Poland are scared, are afraid to go there. And thirdly, everybody is a bit tired of this war, but of course, these are most private discussions. So I would say that I see the bigger and the bigger gap between what is being told in our media on this official level of the discussion and what people really think.
So what about this summit? I mean, on off. I don't. As we talk, we don't know what's going to actually happen. But there's been a lot of controversy about the summit actually taking place in Budapest. At least that's from the Brussels perspective. Do people care in Poland where this summit takes place?
I would say that majority of Poles are even not aware of this summit. Yeah, but it is treated by the media like Putin's agenda. So the summit is not seen by the public opinion. Of course, there are pieces of information regarding this. There are some reports. It is covered. It is being covered by media, but not as something which might be serious. So it's not a huge news here. Here, in not only in Poland, I would say in the whole region. The whole region is observing this war with from distance. This is very very. This is something which is very often which is a huge surprise, because on one hand the war is so close, on the other hand, people don't think that they may influence how it is going on, how it might end.
And so, okay, let's talk about possible escalation then. Obviously, well, in recent months, we've had these stories about Russian fighters entering European airspace, drones going astray. Some people are very worried here in the West about a possible escalation. Other people say, and I hear this quite a lot, listen, there's nothing to worry about. Putin is bluffing. He's testing European defenses. He hasn't got the army, the soldiers to do anything else because the Russian army is tied down in Ukraine. Is that the way people in Eastern Europe think of it?
Imagine that Russian troops enters just a part of the Polish border, or Belarusian troops. Yeah, we had something close to that during the beginning of the hybrid war with Belarus. From Belarus side, the groups of migrants were pushed through the border, and imagine that there are some Belarusian soldiers, even a green, even with just in uniforms, with not national uniforms, but I know with weapons. Yeah, and imagine that you have created a kind of zone crisis on your border. What does it mean for your economy? It is really bad news for your economy. Does it mean that the state is able to protect the whole border? Not. Does it mean that it might be escalated? Yes. So we are afraid of this kind of crisis, first. Secondly, imagine that there is one panzer brigade organized by Belarusian Russian troops coming through, Baltic states. Yeah, this is absolutely possible. Of course, maybe attack on Poland is now impossible, but attack on Baltic states, it is possible. So it is treated as a real tangible risk. The spending on military purposes is extremely high nowadays. And what is interesting, there is a common agreement for this. Even the left side in Polish parliament now is silenced. No, they agree for this military spending. And it is up to 5% of Polish DGP this year and the next year. There were even some slogans that we want to create, to build the strongest land army in Europe. Maybe a bit exaggeration, but it shows the ambition. Yeah. So the Polish goal was to create, and is still, although of course this government approach is a bit different, but the Polish national goal was to create as strong army as possible to be able to protect ourselves. Of course, we rely on NATO, but as one American general told me several years ago when he visited Poland, that the ally is a real ally when there are partners, not one depend on other. Yet the possibility of being attacked by Russia, it is here in region, uh, Baltic states for sure, Poland for sure, Romania for sure, treated as something which should be taken seriously, extremely seriously, because no one believed that Russia might attack Ukraine. I remember that time, and I remember Polish Prime Minister at that time, Mateusz Morawiecki, traveling visiting capitals of Europe, and I was a member of the group of journalists with him at the time, and alarming the leaders. But the war is in the pipeline from the Russian perspective. They are preparing for it, and this alarm was denied at that time. So now, okay, I understand that from Brussels' perspective, maybe from Paris' perspective, maybe from London's perspective, the risk is not as high as it is described here in Eastern Central Europe, but no, our interest should be put on first place, our safety.
And the other impression I get whenever I talk to anyone here who's from Poland or who has Polish connections is that everyone is practicing for war at the weekend. They all go out into the hills and shoot automatic guns, and children as young as 10 are practicing with pistols. Is there a sense among the general population that they have to prepare as well?
No, no, no. It's not in general population. Of course, you can observe the signals like that. For example, the military shops are extremely popular. Yeah, the voluntary part of the Polish army, territorial arms, national guard, something like that, which was created in 2016, is much more popular among young people, and it is seen as a something trendy to go for this military course, to be prepared. But I wouldn't say it's massive. Yeah, we have to look at the data. Yeah, and these are clear when we speak about money. How much money is spending on this? Yeah, and in many areas you can see the general agreement for spending much more money for this kind of purpose, not only military but preparing, the civic defense, etc., etc. So yes, you can see this, you can observe this. I visited several months ago Baltic states, and probably in these countries the atmosphere is a bit different. So for them the risk is much more real, and they are preparing more seriously than here in Poland. But yeah, the war is in the atmosphere. is in the atmosphere.
Tell me, Michal, I understand you speak some Russian. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, I speak Russian. Yeah.
Because I want to ask you about the Russian minorities. Now, obviously, there are big Russian minorities in, is it two of the three Baltic states?
Yeah.
What is going on there? According to YouTube documentaries I've seen, the Russian language is being suppressed in some of these countries. We have run stories on Brussels Signal about disarming some of these Russians. They're no longer allowed to have weapons, for example. What's the war? How is it going from the perspective of the Russian minorities?
Far as I know, this society is divided. Yeah, one of them feel this pro-Russian, pro-Putin's Russian as a state. Yeah, in the meaning of the state, pro-Putin's maybe that's way sentiment. Some of them feel that this is their war, but the majority probably is afraid of being involved in this conflict. Yeah, because okay, this is very interesting when you listen to Russian speaking bloggers. There is one theme which is absolutely not existing in our discussion, but from their perspective, the whole region which is now in the war, when people die, when the cities are and villages are being destroyed every day, this is the land of Russian speaking people, of Russians even. Yeah, and even the opposition bloggers emphasizes this, that the result of the war is now that the Russian speaking population in this region suffers, yeah, from the war, suffers from the casualties, and they are taken to the front line, they are being killed. So probably, as far as I know, the majority of the Russian minorities just want to survive, not to being expelled, not to being taken into in the army, not to being a part of this conflict. This is a very strong emotion among people who are in this post-Soviet zone. When you look at the Belarusian propaganda, the official media, this is the main subject they use, the main tool they use. So they claim that okay, maybe President Lukashenko is not the best. It's not, even if maybe it's not you what you really want, but what you are given, yeah, in exchange that for the fact that he is a president, he's a dictator, is a peace. Мирное небо, tak? Спасибо вам за мирное небо. Thank you, Vam, for a peaceful sky. This is the phrase which is repeated there constantly when the Lukashenko is welcomed somewhere. This is the slogan, the sentence which is said by almost everyone, starting from children at the beginning and ending with elderly people, yeah, with seniors.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about the differences then in Eastern Europe, because you mentioned worries that Russia could invade the Baltics and Poland is where you mentioned Romania. In that little list, you did not mention Hungary. And how can we describe relations between Poland and Hungary?
Hmm. I would say that we are at the gold era in terms of Polish-Hungarian friendship. I'm not speaking about governments now. It's different issue. But I would say that after these law and justice years in Poland and Fidesz years in Hungary, and after the years when the V4 group was so vital, when there were so many meetings. As a journalist, I was invited almost every week for something Polish, Hungarian, Hungarian, Polish. In Budapest, in Warsaw, in Budapest, and in Przemyśl as well, the city on the south of Poland, historical some meanings for both nations. So we know each other much better than it was previously. Of course, after the war broke, there was a huge crisis. And I would say that many words were said from both sides, which were not proper, not properly put, not properly done. Then there was a 1 year break in relations. Even we had at that time the conservative government in Poland and conservative government in Hungary. But then the emotions down, and we had a change of government in Poland, the liberal government, Tusk, anti-Orban at the beginning. I would say that now it's more or less normal.
Okay, so you mentioned this was the feeling among the peoples more than the politicians, perhaps. But what about this case of the suspected bomber of the Nord Stream pipeline, who was released right by a Polish court, despite being under a European arrest warrant, and was not extradited? I mean, this was slammed by Hungary. Germany wants to prosecute this person. I mean, are you saying this has not really affected how the two people see each other?
Yeah, from the people's perspective, this man, if he really did it, because we don't know. Yeah, this was emphasized by the Polish court that there are no evidence. It is not proved that he was involved in this. But from the in Polish eyes, many Polish eyes, even if he did it, yeah, if he did it, he should be awarded. Maybe he should be hired by the Polish secret service, or something like that, Polish army. Yeah, but from the Polish perspective, this is our war, and this is Ukrainian war against Russia. Russia is an aggressor. From the Polish perspective, this is our war as well, because, as late President Lech Kaczynski once mentioned, it was just after Russian aggression against Georgia. At first Georgia, secondly Ukraine, and then Baltic states, and then Poland, my country, my homeland. So we think that way. And if you think that way, so destroying Russian economy, destroying Russian infrastructure, cutting Russia off all the sources of the money is a natural choice. So, from our perspective, the German claim for giving them for transferring these men to Germany, or the Hungarian comments, are difficult to understand. Yeah, of course, as a journalist, I understand different positions. Yeah, but from the majority of the public opinion in Poland is the reaction of this group, is of the majority of the Polish public opinion, is, what's the problem? He's a
Okay.
warrior of Ukraine. Yeah, he's a part of Ukraine defense, and he is going to destroy Ukraine pipeline, gas pipeline. I'm sorry, Russian infrastructure everywhere, in Moscow, in Nizhny no, in different Russian cities, everywhere. So it's a part of the war. It's natural for us. I understand when, from Hungarian side, this is something which brings huge risk to take this war out of control. Yes, so I understand this position, but from the Polish position, it's rather, what's the problem with this? This is the war. Ukraine was attacked, and Ukraine is doing all its best to defend herself, yeah, itself, by attacking Russian infrastructure everywhere. Was it? In people's eyes, it's like, somebody is surprised that uh, Great Britain attacked German infrastructure. I don't know, in Africa. It's natural. It's a war.
Okay, understood, understood. Now, let's have 2 minutes on relations between Poland and Ukraine, and Hungary and Ukraine, because it's not as simple as some people
No.
here picture it, isn't it? I mean, you've just been to the border with Ukraine, and you were telling me that there are, in fact, a fair number of anti-Ukrainian Polish people, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We had a presidential campaign. Yeah, it was the new president, right wing, Karol Nawrocki, was chosen of the 1st of June. So I remember the meeting with some sociologists at the time, after the series of polls they did, and they were shocked, and they told me, Michał, the only thing which is common for Poles now, which we share as a nation, is the fact that we don't like Ukrainians at that time. So the Ukrainian issue influenced the result of the of.
Why is that though? Is it something to do with immigration?
If you say publicly in Poland now that, for example, Ukraine should agree for all Russian conditions because the ceasefire is needed. It should be achieved by all cost, at all cost. Or if you say that you understand some Russian arguments, or if you say that we shouldn't spend more money on Ukraine as a European Union, for example, you immediately be announced as a Russian spy. You immediately be put out of the public life, probably, or you will, and you will be treated as a something which is as a suspicious person. Yeah, something who is not who doesn't have right to be on the public scene. This is one side of this medal. The second is that if you say, I like Ukrainians, or I do appreciate, and this is my position, for example, how hard they work in Poland. Yeah, they are decent people, usually spending all their life or the whole week at work. They have children. uh, their children go to the Polish school. After 2 3 years, they speak Polish perfectly. So I see no problem. Yeah, we have this lack of workforce like everywhere. So you have to choose from which side you want to take migrants, or I don't know, people who will support your economy. But if you say it openly, you are treated as a strange person as well. So, on the one hand, we want to support as a nation Ukraine in their fight. On the second hand, we don't want them here, or maybe not to that extent, or maybe in different ways. Maybe there were some mistakes at the beginning, because at the beginning, after this refugees wave came here, and Poles opened their houses because there were no refugees camp. No refugees camp. Every Ukrainian coming here was taken by Polish family to their house, or the second house, second flat, if somebody had, for free, for 2 3, sometimes 6 months. And the government was so moved by this national emotion that he offered Ukrainians a lot, like a free security, like some special conditions in some areas. The special ways of dealing with red tape, bureaucracy. So you can see that we had three languages at that time: Polish, English, and Ukrainians. Every slogan, every advertisement, everything was in Ukrainian as well. So maybe it was an exaggeration, and maybe now we have to pay for it. I don't know. Probably history is responsible for this. The very complex, very difficult Polish-Ukrainian history, especially during the Second World War, this Volyn massacre. After the war broke, Poles were sure that Ukraine decided the government of Ukraine decided, to deal with with the graves, yeah, of the victims of this Volyn massacre. There is 100,000 Poles, and they don't have their graves. Yeah, we should find them, and we should organize proper ceremony with pray, maybe build some cemeteries, etc., etc. But it is, with very little exception, it is still forbidden by Ukrainian government, and it had really bad influence in Poland. Thirdly, probably people are tired of this war. Yeah, they are exhausted to some extent because you had inflation, you had this instability, the constant discussion of the war. People are afraid of being taken to the army, that their sons will die there. For example, during this presidential campaign, Nawrocki announced, announced that I promise you that your sons won't go for Ukrainian to fight for Ukrainian state. We are not auxiliary state. We have to defend ourselves at first. And this was, it brought to him huge support. So, uh, coming back to this bad sentiment, maybe, you know, there is a mistake in this as well, because, okay, if you recently, after one of my runs, I in the park, but it was a group run. So afterwards, I said with I stayed a moment in the park with my friends. We were drinking coffee, eating something, and I was counting families passing by me, and every third family was Russian speaking. But does it mean, and people, majority of Poles think these are Ukrainians. And when you see young Ukrainian men, the first thought you have is, "Ok, why are you here? Yeah, why don't you fight for your country in your army in Ukraine on the front line now?" This is the first thought which come across your mind. uh, as far as I know, when I speak with my friends, with my family, they think about it. But these are not only Ukrainians. We have 1 million Ukrainians here. We have 400,000 Belarusian here. We have some Russians as well, and people from other post-Soviet countries who speak in Russian very often as well. So this is maybe the one of the reasons as well, that there are so many young Russian speaking men here in Poland, and people think that they are trying to avoid defending their country, which is seen as something wrong. Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. Hmm. That's okay. One more question on the war, and then we'll move on. But is this now we're going back to where I started and the possible summit, the possible peace summit between Trump and Putin? Is this can America sort it out, or better put, maybe can Europe sort it out without America? Does this need Trump?
I'm really disappointed by the way the Europe try to deal with this war, this all these issues, because they do so little. Yeah, just spending some money, maybe some help, some military equipment, of course, but there is no one strategy. There is no uh, decision to d- do more, to put a lot of effort, money to help Ukraine. So, from my perspective, Europe says, okay, Ukraine, you have to fight to the last soldier, but we are fed up with this to some extent, and we can't help you more. Maybe America. And then United States look at the situation under Trump administration, and they came to clear conclusion: we have to finish this war. Yeah, and maybe, and this is my perspective as well, that surviving Ukraine as an independent state, being able to function, to develop, to cooperate with other nations, maybe given some security guarantees as well. This is the victory of Ukraine, and this is Trump's perspective, as far as I know. And I think what Trump is doing is looking for common sense solutions, and I hope he will be successful, because what was the main expectation in Berlin. We know it nowadays, after the war broke. They expected that Kiev will be taken by Russians for 3 days, and then the new chapter will be open. This was their way of thinking. So now we have to accept that Ukraine Ukraine was able to survive. They, of course, paid huge price. I think the scale of the victims, of casualties, of destroying the nation is unaware in Poland, in our region, in Europe, in United States. I think that, in my opinion, the half of the nations, the younger half of the nation, left the country. They are everywhere. Yeah, and it would be extremely difficult to come back to normal life, but it's possible. And this is what Trump is trying to do. So I support his effort, and I am really disgusted by the approach by the European elites, who are unable to solve this issue, to help Ukraine, but they are able only to ridicule Trump's effort. This is European issue. Of course, this is NATO issue as well. This is, I know, the world's issue, but at first, this is European issue. And they want Trump to send American soldiers on Ukrainian soil, and they want to sacrifice by American soldiers on Ukrainian soils. But in Europe, it's impossible, and Europeans can't do that. We can't accept this egoistic way of thinking.
That's great. That's great, Michal. Now, I know that you're a journalist with a lot of experience, and you're branching out with a new project, which is YouTube based. Tell us a bit about that.
And it will be the political channel. It will be focused on politics. It's interesting how the political discussion in Poland is moving more and more on this side. How YouTube channels becoming more and more important way of communications, and how it is treated by politicians as well as an extremely important source of information, the place when the most important discussions are taking place. As far as I know, up to 30 million Poles is now watching YouTube channels, and of course using all these social media platforms. So this is a huge challenge, this new initiative, new project, but I hope it will be successful. And I am full of energy, the same my colleagues. And now we are at the stage zero, I would say, and the official launching of the product will take place the 2nd of November.
Wonderful. Well, we all wish you the best of luck with your new project. We'll be keeping an eye on you and that. Meanwhile, Brussels Signal supporters can read more from Michal. He's already writing comment sections for us. There's going to be some more videos. There'll be more from him here. Thanks, Michal, for joining us. Thanks for watching. This is Interference, out every week.